Kevin Chaos. So I'm glad that people keep asking questions because it's a big misunderstood subject. The latest. Does intuition have to do with my third eye? And this seems like such a silly new question, but it's admirable that people would ask because it's better to ask than to allow yourself to be ignorant by choice for any reason, whether you're not looking for yourself or whether there are people and things around you that can help. Yes, actually, intuition. The feminine way of thinking, whereas masculine is more action oriented. Um, Intuition, feelings, left versus right brain. You may find it fascinating to think about the male and female gender before I trigger 500,000 people. I'd like to preface this by saying you might be offended by the following material, as I may not share your beliefs. That said, what truly defines gender as far as male and female being options is the chemical structures in your brain. During production, the estrogen and testosterone, what ends up being greater. And also the influences that you have both in the womb and outside of conversations, of foods, of everything to also change those very same chemicals, but also the thought processes and emotions of left or right brain. One is logical. One is direct. One is in patterns. One is nonlinear. One is more about feelings. One is more about the background. Okay? And you could consider one male and one female, as one of them is almost guaranteed to be dominant over the other. People search for nirvana, balance, bliss, the in-between, most of their lives usually, and go through meditations, spiritual therapy, and drugs, and everything, just really trying to get a sense of what it feels to be balanced. A lot of people feel comfortable talking to me and come to me because I'm very in touch with my femininity. I had an advantage being born as a Cancer or feminine sign to already have a lot of that influence and got lucky, you could say. But it takes a sense of balance. You're going to want to belong to guys or to girls or to fit in. It seems to be as a human notion. You want people to see you a certain way, act a certain way. I don't really have a whole lot of desire, so I didn't spend a lot of time doing that. But the question was, intuition, does it play a part? You're going to find it plays a very huge part because calculating is one thing. You're calculating what already is. Intuition is calculating what could be, what could come next. And it doesn't have to come in the form of words or mathematics in the way that the male brain like to pose it. The male brain may make unnecessary complications and calculations and work around it that way, which might indeed work. Whereas the feminine brain, at least having a male to direct it, right? King and queen on the chessboard, can accomplish so much more because she's keeping it simpler, because she's trusting herself and maybe one other person to give her a loose set of directions to be able to accomplish stuff. And she wants to feel empowered. This will also help you out with your relationships. She wants to feel empowered. She wants to feel special and important and cool, but she knows, as the king hopefully should know, that without the queen, without the other half of their being, she or he is nothing. So intuition does play a good deal. You can train this even further, your third eye and your sight, and this calculation without calculation, seeing without seeing, bit by playing little games with yourself. Remember the memory game you played as a kid where you put out all the cards? It's also in Super Mario 2, I believe it is, where you flip over the two coins, the two cards, and you look for a match. Maybe it's a coin or a box, and if it's not right, you flip it back down, and your brain over time tries to memorize where all these things are placed. That's kind of how your subconscious works. It pools and it collects everything you witness through your five senses, really one sense, the sense of the wave, and everything you saw, taste, smelled, touched, etc. gets to be part of your brain. It's just kind of filed away, and you never forget anything, so stop saying that right now. I forgot. No, you temporarily misplaced. You aren't focusing. You're too hyper or emotional or something right now, but you never forgot. You filed it away. When I told you to take out the trash, the reason you forgot was really you accepted the idea, you wrote it down in your brain, you put it away in the filing cabinet, but your personal interest didn't open the filing cabinet back up again. You didn't forget. You just prioritized your interests. That's not forgetting. Okay? So I temporarily don't recall will also replace all of your memory problems. And temporarily don't recall. Or instead of I forgot, I seem to have misplaced this thought. it implies to your subconscious as you retrain yourself that you have the ability to remember. Not that you cannot remember, that it's impossible. But that for now, for a time, your focus isn't on it, and you're moving on, and it will come back to you. So to train your intuition, you can play games like that. You can play games like Go Fish, because even not counting cards on a logical, cognitive level, your brain starts to do these patterns, just simply doing the guesswork, feeling it out. And as Bruce Lee said, be as water. You put water in a pot, it becomes a pot. You put water in a teapot, put water in a kettle, it becomes those things. He also says, do not think, feel, as he smacks the out of his little trainee kid that he's trying to show the ways to. That's way more important than the cognitive understanding. In fact, I probably wouldn't talk at all if people paid more attention to the natural stuff about the world. Instead, language is a manipulation tool. It exists solely to bend our surroundings, to express ourselves, to share details, and to try to create a way that we can commune with one another. And although we could probably do this on a mental plane, on a spiritual plane, most people do not. We've learned to rely upon technologies and things that makes things so easy and separated us from our truer understanding, from our genetics, from our abilities, from everything that we are, that now that we have a push button, receive bacon, kind of activate, be happy now, let me drink this away, let me pop this pill, let me do this, that nobody's actually using regular sciences. Nobody has any real power. They're all relying on some item or some person to kind of take care of it for them. So I highly encourage you to exercise these things. If you want to play with this alone, you can also, again, 52 cards. It's a great thing to do many exercises with. You can draw a card, try to determine its color. There's only 2 possibilities. Okay? Try to determine its color before you see it. Sweet. You're going to get better at that. Now let's change it from 50% and make it a little harder. Try to determine the suit. What do you feel for this card? See what emotions and what you're training your woman brain. Okay, what emotions stand out? What impressions do you get? And surely, but slowly, stop arguing with yourself and trust it. Let go. You're going to find that your first impulse is quickly followed by another impulse to try to be too reasonable and logical. But usually that first impulse is pretty correct, isn't it? Another thing I'll get on you, since we're talking about feelings and left and right way of thinking, about male and female thinking, male and female brain. How about how awesome today is going to be, huh? How much today actually fucking rocks, how cool you are for questioning, and how cool I am for having available time, how perfect this moment is. Now what about the next moment? I guarantee you the next moment's going to rock, at least for me, because I already said so. I already decided, I already programmed my mind and my body and my spirit to receive and to be set into such a state that I'm not looking for every little discrepancy, negative thing I can focus on. Instead of being freely, I'm opening my mind to infinite possibility that good things can happen and keeping all of those open doors, all those infinite possibilities available to me, but not becoming stagnant and reliant on any one way of being. And because of that, Kevin Chaos can live freely. He can go with the ebb and the flow of the oceans and their many tides despite judgment. People over here loving me, people over here hating me. This excellent English language, bringing all you people here, while other people over here think that I don't even know English and want to take me as crazy just because of their language barriers, when all of the same could be explained. Excuse me. All of the same could be explained, and with taking the proper time, translated into the Christian language, into their Islamic language, into their Buddhist language, into their atheistic language. And I can talk about all of the same sciences and understandings, but it takes way too much time. There's way too many people, and I have to slow down for some of you. And I do my best. But if you approach these things with judgment, so again, listen to your heart, listen to that intuition, listen to that feelings, make those connections, because you're really going to burn bridges if you don't. There's so many things that are coming into you, and people, there's a lot of them that won't really ask for anything in return. Maybe a little respect, or something. Maybe a little patience. Maybe to think things over judgment. But that's the difference between a good teacher and some of these other people. There's no teachers, just guides, as I keep saying. I love you all so fucking much. I just don't have a lot of time for some of you. So I hope that when I do make the time and I take these videos and I give you all the keys to success, that you take the time to think about it before you fight me and fight yourself. And you might just realize, as so many do, even if it's 10 years down the road, it happens so often, that I was a good influence. That I offered you what I could, and then I really didn't want anything. So I couldn't fall into temptation, I couldn't fall into tricks or traps or make my life stagnant or depressing. Because I was just a rolling stone gathering moss, giving you what I could, helping out in the way that I can. enlightening you onto conversational hypnosis, psychology, the brain, the body, and opening the floor up to any kind of questions and ties in between. Remember here, this is a community, this is an environment, and in my community, in my domain, in my world, in my universe that I share with you guys, there's no wrong. There's a whole bunch of philosophers, a whole bunch of students, myself included, a whole bunch of kids, myself included, climbing skyward, climbing towards greatness in this life, maybe beyond if it's your cup of tea. But where we all question each other, where we say, hey, where are you coming from? This is how I see it. Do you understand where I'm coming from? But not to impose or control or manipulate over somebody else, but instead give them the tools that they need to have clear sight, to see for themselves their own life and the lives of others and make intelligent decisions and not condemn or cast hatred, but love themselves and love others for being the unique, individualized star of the tarot as they are, their own little spark of brilliance serving their own little purpose. And it's not for you to judge people's purposes. It's for you to live out yours. And for me, I just kind of illuminate things. People don't listen to the spirit. They don't listen to their subconscious minds. They allow the world to program them. And I'm only serving as a bridge, a medium to gap the scientific and the religious communities, gap the best that I can these segregating cultures that want to cast hatred over attempting to understand each other's differences, or even, as enlightened as some people want to believe that they are, to take pity on the lesser one and realizing they don't know yet. They don't have what you know. They might not operate at your speed. They might have a whole different language. They could be schizophrenic. There could be a lot of things that tie into how this person perceives reality, how this person feels, and how this person thinks. So I ask you this also. As you're training yourselves and as people also like to build ego and turn what I say into weapons, why do you feel so special? And can you do that without hate, without prejudice, without shitting on someone for their words or for differences? Can you really say, you know what, I love you. You need my love. I care about you because somebody's got it. You ain't caring about you. You're making all these deliberate choices that lead to your own trouble even more than everybody else that you're also burdening. So it's really neat, and I hope you use your intuition. I hope you connect. I hope you try some of these card exercises, and I hope you take the time to meditate on the parts of your body and really what they mean to you. Not to me. It's not my journey. It's not my body to perfect. It's not my life to perfect. It's not my immortality or my safety of mind and of heart that I'm learning. You're working on you. I'm only sharing past reflections. My past. I'm only helping illuminate your present and your future. That's up to you. I love you, man. Peace.